folks, I'm trusting that everybody had their lunch and they're well fed and ready for the afternoon of demo days. We've got two colleagues here, Vish and Chris from Element, and they're going to take you into this next demo. Guys, I'll be off camera and off mic, and have a good demo, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you, Reggie.
Ready, Vish?
Yes, let's get to the next slide. Hi, everyone. I'm Vishal Shah, co-founder and CEO at Element. We are very excited to be here, and thank you, ASAE and Matchbox, for setting this up for us. We are excited for that. What you're going to see today comes from years of working closely with association staff and learning where AMS systems fall short. Simple things like running auto renewals or collecting payments can quickly turn into hours of extra work or even sleepless nights. I've spent many of those with several association staff just to get things up and running. And Element is just a reflection of our attempts to build something more thoughtful, more useful for your real day-to-day activities. And we hope that resonates with you. And what I have with me is Chris and Megan over here helping us, and I'll hand over to Chris to take it from here.
Thanks, Vish. Hi, everybody. Chris Gorgroso, co-founder and CPO here at Element. Really excited to show you what we've got. So I'm not going to spend too much time with the introduction. I'm just going to dive right in. So here we go. We are a platform software. So what that means is we utilize Salesforce as our platform, and we've developed on top of it. And so why did we choose Salesforce? Well, besides it being obviously a really strong and powerful CRM, it really is just an amazing ecosystem and platform to build on. What they provide for us is infrastructure, security, little to no code tools for both us and for our customers to utilize. And all that's to say is that all of that allows us to focus what really matters to you, the customer, so that we can build and solve the problems that you might face, all while depending on the infrastructure of the platform. And so that means you get the functionality you need as fast as possible. Most importantly, they have a very large ecosystem. They have an app exchange with thousands of different apps that you can utilize. You can download them at a click of a button. And their APIs are amazing. They have very robust APIs, and that's important for us. When we set out to build the company, one of the things we were thinking about was how are we going to integrate with all the various tools that our customers need? Salesforce was the obvious answer for us. And so to summarize, the infrastructure, scalability, the security, the tools that they provide to us, and of course, the integrations and the APIs were paramount to that decision. Okay, so a little bit about us. When we started out to start Element, we really thought about what challenges we were going to solve for the association space. We knew that there are plenty of challenges out there to solve, but whatever we were going to build was going to have to make an impact in making sure that we were solving the problems that our customers face, and anything that we build, we had to make sure that solution addressed a problem. And so what we want to do today is take a look at it through that lens. Okay, so let's look at some of the problems that our customers have faced and how we solve that with Element. And as we walk through the demo and addressing those problems, we're going to highlight a lot of the different features and functionality that we have that work in concert to solve those challenges. Okay, so let's talk about the scenarios. We've got two main scenarios that we're going to talk about today. The first is the member journey, and then we'll talk about financial integrity. So for the member journey, we actually had a customer in our discovery that came to us and they said during the discovery, listen, we have members buying memberships, all different types of memberships. Sometimes they buy a membership because it's the cheapest one. Sometimes they buy a membership just because they didn't know what to buy. So there's like all these people that were buying the different memberships, but they weren't necessarily the right ones. And that was very important to this association because they actually had a guided path and it kind of followed along their educational process all the way up to becoming doctors. And so we recognize that in building a membership journey and onboarding your members, it's not always as simple as an a la carte, which we'll show you. Sometimes you really have to get into the details about your customers or your members to find out who they are and make sure that they have the right membership assigned to them. And so we're going to walk through that experience today. I'm going to switch over to the other screen. Okay, now here we are. This is one of our prospects. He's only a contact in our system. We're in Salesforce. Just a quick high-level navigation of Salesforce. You have a global search bar here that allows you to search throughout the entire database. I'm going to see a few more of those today in some of the other demos that are using Salesforce. So I don't want to dig too deep into that. But we can see from Diego that he's a contact only. He's not a member, but he does want to become a member. So let's walk through that by logging into the experience as a user. And one of the benefits here is I actually get to see what he sees. I get to act like Diego as I log in. Now here we go. We logged into the community, and what you see right now is the member settings page. Here you can show the profile. All the information that we showed for Diego is presented here. You get to pick and choose what you'd like to present. Gets to edit what it is that you would like to see. Memberships, obviously he's not a member, so he can select those. And if he did have past memberships, they would be there as well. Any payment methods he might have. Invoices, looks like he has plenty of out there, some that he needs to pay as well. And an address component here. So let's start this membership journey. This membership journey, we started with a button here. That link is actually provided to Diego if there was a renewal, if it was a first-time journey joining. So even if they weren't authenticated, it would prompt them to authenticate. And this could be something that would be on your website as well. And so because of that, if we knew who they were, we would present them with the information and make sure that they're updating their information. And then we land on the membership selection. Now here, I put this little component in here to say a la carte because I want to talk about the different types of journeys that you might have. Now, a la carte, we've all seen this before. This is the more you pay, the more you get from the association, right? So you buy the platinum membership, you get everything, you get member discounts for the conference, all that. So the lower you go, maybe you don't get as much. You may have less access to various areas of the community. And that's a great example of a lot of membership models that we have. However, it's not always that simple. And again, we're solving the problem of more of a guided experience. And so what we did here, and we're really scaling this down a little bit based on what our customer had, but we provided them with questions and options to help identify exactly what kind of member they were, right? And so we asked them, which best describes your involvement in the industry? Are you a working professional actively involved? Do you just support and collaborate with the professionals in the industry? Or are you not actively working? Because if you're a professional, I know what you need. You're going to have one of these two memberships. Even though we have a bunch of memberships, you really should be purchasing either the executive or the professional. If you collaborate with professionals in the industry, well, it sounds like you're an affiliate. This is probably the information that the membership that you would want to select. But if you're not actively working as a professional, you might have one of these three, where you might not be actively working, but you're on the hunt, you're looking for a position. And if so, we have a membership type for you. This membership type helps give you the resources like job boards and resume workshops to help you get the job that you're looking for. We got for retirees and students. And so this experience here is a very small one because we only have 30 minutes. But what we wanted to highlight here is that based on what your membership journey should be, you can really cater that experience to make it a really rich and easy experience. A lot of times we want to stay away from, a lot of times we see those big forms, very heavy. A lot of information is being captured and we see a lot of drop off happening. So how do you make that engagement? How do you make the user engage a little bit more as they're walking through that member journey in the sign up form? And so that's what we wanted to highlight. Our customer actually has a very complex one. It has several pages, but the information that they capture really narrowed down on those problems, and they're seeing a lot less impact in their database, because as people were purchasing all of the wrong memberships, you know what that means. They give you a call, right before conference time. Hey, I don't have the member discount I thought I was supposed to get. They don't have access to various areas in the community and things of that nature. So this really helped narrow that down for them, and it's been quite successful. A different problem that a customer of ours had, and this is a completely different customer, was, and it was actually a very similar problem, is that whenever they had the chapter assignment side of things, people would sign up for the wrong chapter. And so for this organization, it really depended upon where the individual worked or lived. And we all know about this inside, if you're in the tri-state area in DC, Virginia, Maryland, and you're right in and around DC, you might live in Maryland, but you work in Virginia. So picking the right chapter isn't always that obvious. But for this organization, it was dependent upon where you work. And for us in this demo, it's going to be dependent upon where you live. And so we saw Diego was in Virginia. I'm going to go ahead and pick the retired membership for Diego. Have the ability to add a donation if we so choose. And then finally, it drops us on to our shopping cart page. And you can see that the Virginia chapter membership was programmatically added to the cart for Diego. And you can't delete it because you have to be subscribed to one of the Virginia chapter memberships. So I want to go ahead and process this payment, get through it really quickly, because I want to show you what it looks like in the staff view once it's all said and done. All right, and we have a confirmation. This confirmation page is actually something that is catered towards the experience, depending on whether you're buying a membership, an event, whatever you get to configure which confirmation you see. And if you want, you can view the invoice. The invoice will take you to the invoices page. You can download that invoice directly into your computer. And now here we are. Diego has his membership. And if you want, he can even add his payment method that he saved on file, and now enable his auto renew. And now Diego's off to the races. You don't have to worry about renewing in the future. Okay. So what does all this look like in the staff view? Here we are back on Diego's contact record, and you can see that now he is an active member. We see the membership that he has. We see the start date. We see the end date out 1 year from today. And we can even look at the individual membership record that's there for him. But let's dig into the actual invoice that was paid. I want to stop here because I want to talk a little bit about what's happening here. You'll see that this invoice is a 360-degree view of the invoice. you'll see the products that were in there, and as well something as we call invoice activities. What we mean by invoice activity is anything that happens to an invoice, whether it's a
Chris, I think we are seeing the membership screen, not the invoice screen. You're seeing the community screen.
oh, so it doesn't follow my tab. Sorry about that. Let's do it again. Thank you for that, Vish. Okay, so let's go back to Diego's contact because I think I got to go back and I'm going to rush through this really quick. Now we see that Diego has been, he is now an active membership. His membership information is now populated. There he is in Virginia, and that's why he got the Virginia chapter. You can see his individual membership has been added to him. And here we are. Let's take a look at what this invoice looked like. So the lines were added, and here's the 360-degree view, which I started talking about. He got a discount, as well as he made the payment across those two lines. But how did we set this up? Okay, before I get into that, anything in an invoice activity means a credit, a discount, an adjustment, a payment, a refund. Anything that happens to the invoice is all happening on one table of data. We purposely made that decision because we wanted to make it very easy to report. And so I'm going to dig a little bit further into report, but I also want to see how easy it is to set up the requirements to meet our customer's requirement of automatically assigning a chapter. So here for the retired membership, we have this concept of product bundling. In the product bundling, you can see there's two options here, Virginia and Maryland chapter. Now Diego didn't get the Maryland chapter. And the reason he didn't is because these product bundles can actually be assigned dynamically. You can see here in the product bundle, I have a dynamic product assignment. And what we have here are the rule definitions by which you need to meet for this product to be assigned. And so you can see that contact has a mailing state equals Virginia. And if that's the case, then go ahead and assign this product to the cart. Now, if it wasn't dynamic, it would add it automatically. But because we want it to meet a specific criteria, it's going to wait for that criteria to be met. Similarly, our price lists work the same way. And I just created one with a 10% discount with the same criteria of the contact state going to Virginia. So it's really easy to set up your products to meet these rules and have the experience that you're looking for. Okay. Now let's go to the next scenario, the financial integrity. The problem that was presented to us during one of our discoveries for our customers went like this. What really bothers me is when the financial data, the data that's in the finance system and what's happening in the database doesn't align. Customers call saying, I've sent a payment, but I don't see it recorded. It's not in there. It's not on the website, or maybe they overpay and nobody has any idea until the customer comes, until the customer brings it up. So what we heard was there was no reliable alignment or visibility between the finance department and the activity that was happening in the database. And listen, the truth is those types of errors happen, whether it's duplicate payments, we assign a payment to the wrong invoice, things weren't recorded, overpayments, underpayments. There's a whole slew of reasons why things might happen in the environment. But when they do happen, how do we find them? And more importantly, how do we give the finance professionals and the administrators in the environment the visibility they need to catch the problems early, put the right controls in place, and improve the workflow long term? So that's exactly what we set out to solve. Let's dive back in. So we built a financial dashboard that helps us do just that. This financial control center is a dashboard that we built, and it utilizes all of the order processing and accounting functionality that we built in the data in Element. And this took a long time, quite frankly. We really built this out as the base layer and the foundation of our product. And so I want to go through the lens of this dashboard to highlight some of the things that we have here. Let's start at the bottom of the dashboard. From an accounting perspective, one of the things that I'm always paying attention to is what's happening with the reconciliation. Are we reconciling our current month? And so I can see here that batches are coming in, they're being reconciled, and people are even closing them out. However, there are some that's still open, but I'm not too worried about it, right? Because the month is still not over. I can see that people are still adding payments into the batch and everything's okay. But once those batches are finalized and posted, they'll generate journal entries in the database. And so here is a way for me to see the current month activity at a quick snapshot without having to dig too far in. So I'm looking at this current month activity, and if anything stands out, I'll know that I'll need to dig into it. AR is it got a credit balance of $1,267. I never want an AR credit balance, and so that's something I definitely want to dig into. And just to highlight, I can't do that without it opening up a new tab, so I'm going to go this way. And just to highlight what you can do in the database, if I wanted to go in and look at the details of everything that creates, I can easily do that. And the reason I'm highlighting this is for when audits happen and when you have to provide the information to your audit. The audit trail from the invoice down to the payment, all the way through to the journal entry, comes right here. So if I wanted to look at any one thing, I can navigate back to the original sales invoice. I know the customer that it belonged to. I know the products that they purchased, the payments that happened, and of course, the journal entries that were created as a result. So very easy to have that audit trail for when you do have those audits. Coming back up, on the left-hand side, we see revenue over time. This is very important for those looking at revenue recognition. Now, we're kind of zoomed in a little bit, so you don't see it all the way to the end. But one of the things that we've seen in the past, and this highlighted, is we really shouldn't have membership and revenue recognition going out beyond March. We're a one-year membership term. This should only end to 2026 unless people renew maybe a little bit too early, and that's fine. But as soon as things start getting out to maybe like August, we're seeing some discrepancies, and that's something I might want to dig into. The other piece about the financial side is, making sure that you're looking at trends and transactions that's happening by revenue. I want to know what's happening in the database. I want to make sure that the things that I expect to see are happening, especially when it comes to revenue. And that's what these other dashboards are providing. And then finally, to our customers' point, overpayments and underpayments is one of the things that they called out, right? So people were overpaying, and that was a big problem. People were underpaying, payments were not getting assigned, and they had no idea. And so how do we see that? Our aged AR is always a great way of showing outstanding invoices, very common thing that we always use. Who are our highest owing customers? This could be individuals, it could be companies, what have you, but this will give you a list of all of those customers that owe the organization money. And then going back to what's happened with the actual the overpayment, this one is particularly important because the overpayment is what we needed to highlight to solve this problem. And so what it does is it brings any overpayments of invoices up to the top, and anything that was underpaid, we still have them here at the bottom. And it's very easy for us to dig in and take a look at what actually happened in that database, because these links will take you directly to that invoice. And when I come into this invoice, I see, okay, we have Dorothy Holt up here who paid we have a $1,200 total, paid $2,400. Balance due is negative, not good. So they bought a gold membership, and here it is. They paid with Stripe, they paid online, And then the next time around, maybe they saw the emails, they never deleted their email. They ended up sending another check. This doesn't look like there's any big problem happening in the environment, but it looks like a mistake that might have happened from our customer side. And so we have to give them that refund. What happened to the other one? Oops. I keep wanting to open in a new tab. That is just a habit. Very similar story. I could see here that Dave had paid with Stripe and then only 4 days later paid with check. And when I'm looking at the database, I can tell immediately that this doesn't look like it's a consistent problem, because consistent problems would always happen kind of in sequence and maybe in a specific day. That the actual problem that happened here was a pretty interesting story. The customer put in some automation to send out an invoice. But when they put in the automation to send out the invoice, they forgot a very important filter. Only those balance due that is greater than 0. And so what happened was a lot of people were getting invoices, even though it showed as paid, and mailing in checks. And it was all happening through a specific period of time. And so all of a sudden, this became red all the way down. And that highlighted and alerted everybody as to problems happening in the database. And then they found out, oh my goodness, we sent out a bunch of emails that we didn't mean to. And so very easy to solve. And again, like we said, accidents happen, but how do you give that visibility? How do you have that confidence that you have the right financial controls in place? So what did we see here? We highlighted a member portal. We gave you the membership journey, a shopping cart, product bundling, payment processing, chapter assignments, dynamic pricing, 360-degree view of our invoice, obviously accounting and financial reports. But that's not all we have. We have a lot more to show, and we wish we had more time to show you. Segmentation, event registrations, automatic renewals and reconciliation, installments, discounts, adjustments, credit memos, due to, due from. So there's much more on top of this. Once integrated, we recognize that the industry is looking for best in class at times, and we want to be able to do that. And so these are some of the tools that we've integrated with and brought into the Salesforce and Element ecosystem. So we hope to expand that. We're looking for more. We definitely want to add more logos onto this slide for the future. And what's coming? Well, one of the problems that we're trying to solve is for those organizations that have a large group of individuals and perhaps have companies that are paying on behalf of those individuals. And we're going to do that by means of roster management. The other things that we want to solve are certifications and accreditations. Now, if anything that you've seen today, whether it's anything that you saw in the demo, things that you didn't see that intrigue you, or maybe you're interested in solving some of the problems that we're solving, we would love to hear from you. So please drop that business card into the tool. It sounds like you can drop a business card here, which is pretty neat. And even if you don't, if you're not in the market and you're just looking around and you do have interesting problems that you want to solve, we want to hear from you. So please reach out. Thank you so much for coming and seeing a little bit of what Element has. I look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you guys for a great demo. So Chris, I've got some problems I need solved. They're not technology problems. You still up for that?
I'm ready to hear it, Reggie. Why don't you start out?
Oh, man. Good seeing you guys. Thanks for a great demo, and hope to see you real soon, okay?
All right.